You will not have high testosterone levels unless you do this. And the reason why I can make this video and talk so confidently about this topic is because back in 2021, I did my first ever bodybuilding show. It was a great experience, but I made a lot of mistakes, which I don't regret because obviously having to get down to such a low body fat percentage, you are naturally going to have to make quite a few sacrifices, right? And one of the things associated with being at a super low body fat percentage, we're talking like single digit here, is your testosterone levels will start to dip. And so I got my blood work done right after I did my bodybuilding show, and they came to very, very low levels. And so I had to do a lot of research on what I could do to naturally increase my testosterone levels. And I started to notice some symptoms as well, which I'll talk about a bit later on, and how you can actually identify if you're currently struggling with low testosterone levels. Actually, we'll just touch on it right now. I noticed symptoms such as low libido, low sex drive, low energy levels, constantly feeling tired, constantly feeling lethargic, having a hard time getting out of bed. I struggled with a lot of these things, right? And this was because of me being at such a low body fat percentage, right? I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I read a lot of articles, did a lot of trial and errors, tried different natural supplements, tried shifting up my diet and all these things. And through everything, 1 year later, I got my blood levels tested again, and they came back double the amount. So I can talk very confidently about how you can actually do this. And I've also helped most of my clients increase their testosterone levels as well. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. If you're currently struggling with low energy levels, confidence, or even muscle growth as well, or have a hard time getting it up, or even like losing your body fat too, your testosterone levels might be to blame. And so here's what you will need to know. The reason why testosterone levels are important, it's basically because of these 4 specific reasons. Number 1, it boosts your energy. I don't know about you, but I would rather live a life where I am constantly high energy and I'm not lethargic, right? Because I know what it's like being on the other side of it, and it's not fun. Like, it's definitely not fun. And if you're watching this video, you're probably suffering from that too, right? And it's probably not fun for you either. Secondly, it improves your confidence. I don't know about you, but I want to walk into a room feeling on top of the world and not really keeping my shoulders in, or kind of feeling shy, insecure, not really knowing who to talk to, not really looking people into the eye, not being able to shake someone's hand nice and firmly. Third thing here is increases muscle mass. You'll have a far easier time putting on muscle and maintaining your muscle if your testosterone levels are at a higher level. And then lastly, it also supports fat loss. If right now you still have that stubborn bit of belly fat that's just not wanting to come off, it could also be due to your low testosterone levels. And so here is a couple of things that I need you to avoid first of all, because these are some testosterone killers. Number 1 is poor sleep. If your sleep hygiene is completely whack and off track, that is the first very easy fix, right? And these are some things that you can very easily fix right away, because it's a lot easier to not do certain things than to start doing things right away, right? So that's why we want to start by avoiding these testosterone killers. So make sure that when it comes to improving your sleep, you go to bed at the same time every single day, and you wake up at the same time every single morning. Simple lifestyle change like that can make a huge difference on not only your circadian rhythm, which is your body's biological clock, it also just makes it easier for you to actually fall asleep and wake up every single morning. Because if you're constantly going to bed at different times, one day it's at 8 p.m., the next day it's at midnight, then it's at 10 p.m., your body has no idea when it should start to feel sleepy and release a hormone in your body called melatonin, which makes you nice and sleepy. Secondly, if you're constantly waking up at different times every single morning, one day it's at 6 a.m., the next morning it's at 8 a.m., the other morning it's at noon. It's like your body doesn't really know anything, and it's going to have a really hard time falling asleep. So do your body a favor and consistently go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every single morning. Because once you dial in that consistency, your body's actually going to help you by falling asleep a lot faster, and then also waking up a lot easier as well every single morning. It may take some time to get used to, but I highly encourage you to stick to it for at least a couple of weeks, and you'll start to notice that, bam, your sleep is on point. And when we sleep, our body releases our hormone called growth hormone, which can also help us build more muscle, and then also recover from our workouts, and then also just recover from the day so that we can wake up the next morning feeling nice and energized. And so a couple of tips that I can give you right away is, instead of having a morning alarm, which a lot of people have, try to have a night alarm as well. So have an alarm go off on your phone an hour before bed to almost be like your winding down time. And so what you can do during this winding down time is get rid of all the blue lights, because having blue lights right before you go to sleep can definitely impact your sleep and can make it a lot harder for you to actually fall asleep. So make sure you get rid of all of that. Take a warm shower, do some relaxing activities, do some yoga, some meditating, some stretching, read a book, just do something very relaxing. The last thing that you want to do right before bed is taking a cold plunge or doing a hard exercise or doing like something really stressful, or even just like scrolling on your phone, watching the news, or seeing something that triggers you, because that can also keep you up at night. So you really want to make sure that you prime your body to actually fall asleep. So I highly encourage you to have 30 minutes to an hour before bed, a winding down routine, so you can really prime your body to fall asleep. The second thing here is processed foods. We are not designed to constantly just stuff ourselves with all these hyper palatable foods. And the reason why processed foods aren't ideal is because they're very, very addicting. And a lot of times we do not stop at just one piece of cookie, one chip, one donut. After we're done eating one, we're more than likely going to eat even more of that, right? And that obviously causes overeating, which can therefore put us in a calorie surplus and therefore gain more body fat, which a higher body fat percentage can also lead to lower testosterone levels. So dial in your nutrition, make sure that you're getting rid of all the processed foods, and instead substitute that for minimally processed foods. So think of foods that only have one single ingredient in them. Compare a bag of French fries, which I don't know how many ingredients are in that. We've got oils, salts, all this stuff, versus a potato, right? Whereas a potato only has one ingredient. So if you can, try your absolute best to focus more on minimally processed foods and less on hyper processed foods. A good rule of thumb to keep in mind, the less ingredients, the better. And especially if you look on the back of a label and you cannot name a single ingredient, that is probably a good sign that it probably shouldn't be in your body. And the third thing here is chronic stress. We live in a society where a lot of things are good, right? Like we don't have to live on the streets, we don't have to go to war, we don't have to do all these crazy things, yet our minds are constantly looking for the bad stuff. And so if we can try our absolute best to relieve our stress by maybe doing some small little things like meditating, journaling, writing down our thoughts, small little stuff like that can make a huge difference on just the way you view life, on your gratitude, and that can therefore help you reduce your stress as well. A couple of things I like to do in my personal life as well is having a daily to-do list. And so this allows me to wake up every single morning knowing exactly what I have to do to attack the day, instead of waking up every single morning and letting the day attack me. I see this far too often, but a lot of career-driven men that are busy, going to work every single morning, they wake up, they hit the snooze button, they sleep in a bit, and then they wake up feeling super stressed, thinking of like, oh no, I'm going to be late to work, I got to quickly grab something, what am I going to eat for breakfast, what clothes am I going to wear, what shoes am I going to wear, what am I going to bring for lunch, what am I going to eat for dinner, all this stuff that is just causing more and more stress onto our plates, which a lot of these things, like most of our stressors in our life, we can actually just reduce by simply pre-planning our day in advance. So one of the things that I learned from my mentor is this: plan tomorrow the night before. So right before bed, and you can make this part of your winding down routine, is make your to-do list for tomorrow. So that's when the next morning arises, you know exactly what you have to do, you know exactly when to wake up, you know exactly what to eat for breakfast, you know exactly when your workout's going to be, you know exactly what you're going to have for lunch, for dinner, all this stuff. And so if you can make some small little changes to your lifestyle by simply pre-planning, you'll notice a huge reduction in your stress levels. And then the last thing here is a sedentary lifestyle. I'll be honest with you guys, I currently live a pretty sedentary lifestyle as well. Most of my work is done sitting down right here on the computer, doing sales calls, making client programs, creating content, making videos like this. And so my typical day today is pretty sedentary. I sit down most of the time. However, with that said though, I also have a really high step count. I average around 15 to 20,000 steps every single day because health is still a super big priority for me. And so just like you schedule out time out of your calendar to go to work, to go to appointments, I want you to do the exact same thing when it comes to your health. So maybe set reminders on your phone that maybe every hour to stand up and walk around the block or something, or make it part of like your daily routine where first thing in the morning, instead of sitting down right away, maybe wake up a bit earlier, go to sleep a bit earlier, and go on a morning walk just to knock out most of your steps for the day, or go on an afternoon walk during a lunch break, or go go on an evening walk after your dinner. The more active that you can be, the more calories that you can burn, which therefore can help you be in a calorie deficit for fat loss to occur. And being at a lower body fat percentage, again, there's like this happy medium where you don't want to be too low of a body fat percentage, which was a mistake I made when I did my bodybuilding show, but then you also don't want to be on the higher hands of the body fat percentage, where also that can lead to lower testosterone levels. So you want to be in a nice and healthy range, which typically tends to be 10 to 20% for males and 15 to 30% for females. And I guarantee you, if you just focus on avoiding these 4 testosterone killers, you're going to see a huge difference in your testosterone levels right away. And now when it comes to things that you can actually start doing right away to increase your testosterone levels, I have 2 different things for you to focus on. Number 1 are foods to eat, and then number 2 are things to actually do. So when it comes to the foods that you should be eating, is I need you to really prioritize healthy fats. One of my biggest mistakes when I did my bodybuilding show is I pretty much reduced most of my fat intake. No healthy fats whatsoever. I was strictly just getting most of my calories from carbohydrates and protein. And that was a huge mistake. Definitely don't advise anyone to do a low-fat diet, because fats are absolutely essential when it comes to increasing or maintaining your testosterone levels. So think of your avocados, your nuts, your seeds, your oils, even like your fattier meats. These are all great sources of fat, which therefore helps increase your testosterone levels. On top of that, try to also focus on foods that have zinc and magnesium, such as oysters, red meats, and greens. I post a ton of food videos on my social media pages, so if you want some inspiration on what healthy meals can look like, on what foods to eat, definitely encourage you to scroll through my page. But these are just a couple of foods that I want you to start utilizing and implementing into your diet right away. Now, when it comes to things to do, I want you to prioritize your sleep. So like we discussed earlier, sleep is going to be huge. Aim for around 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night consistently, including the weekends. And this comes back to what I said earlier. If you can go to bed at the same time every single night and wake up at the same time every single morning, it's going to be so much easier for you to actually knock down those 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. Number 2 is exercise. Lift some heavy weights, especially the compound lifts like the squats, bench press, deadlifts, and overhead presses. Not only are they the best bang for the buck exercise in terms of you'll do that exercise and they stimulate multiple muscle groups, which can make it a lot more time efficient for you to do an exercise. They're also great testosterone boosters. And then the last thing here is get sunlight. Where you live in a country where it's usually always cloudy, rainy, like England or the Netherlands, then I would encourage you to supplement in a vitamin D tablet. So high testosterone levels equals more energy, better confidence, faster fat loss, and improved performance in and out of the gym. Now, if you need help optimizing your own testosterone levels, I have an entire course on how you can do this in my free fat loss course on School. Now, if you want access to that, I'm going to drop a link to that down below, or you can simply message me on Instagram with the word testosterone and they'll send it your way.